is a particular tradition that brings together kind of a unique spiritual and theological framework that black people hammered out in these, as Du Bois says, these yet-to-be United States of America. And there's a requirement to know other traditions to be effective. Where other traditions are just stuck in their space, the black church tradition at its best says that not only must I understand the black tradition, but I also must understand the European tradition. I must have an understanding of West African, Caribbean. It becomes global in your understanding, and it's best communicated, if I may share a story, and I traffic in stories because I'm a preacher, forgive me. But Dr. King demonstrated the amalgamation, the uniqueness, or if I may borrow a phrase, the gumbo of the communication.
Talk about
when he stood on the Mall in 1963, he did something that so many people miss, that when he wrote the message, he writes the message, and the phrases that we know at the end were not written. There was improvisation, it was extemporaneous. One story says that Mahalia Jackson could feel that the crowd was restless and says, "Tell them about the dream, Martin." And Dr. King, like a great DJ or an amazing jazz musician, then picks up a phrase from a woman by the name of Reverend Prathia Hall, who prayed in Albany, Georgia, and said, "I have a dream this day in America." He takes that and then begins that phrase, but then brings in the Constitution of the United States and says the underlying framing. So his text then becomes the Constitution, not Scripture, but the Constitution. And then he does something that only the Southern folks who were black knew that he was doing. He threw so much shade at the KKK in the last few moments, and people completely miss it because they think it's rhetorical flourish. He says, "Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain. Let freedom ring from the Great Smoky Mountains." And so my parents, they were there, and they said black folk were shouting like crazy because a double entendre just happened. Because Stone Mountain was the headquarters of the KKK. Smoky Mountains was the headquarters of the KKK. So he kept going to spaces and basically saying, and this is the way that it was heard, there will come a day where we will wipe out domestic terror in America. That's what was being said. And so it was these two things, and because he comes out of what was known as the black social gospel that was promoted and lifted up at Morehouse College, he is coming out of a tradition that says it's not possible for me to be fully who I am, located solely within the silo of my community. That being black means that I am global in nature and local in what I draw from. And local and global at the same time. And that's what happens when we bring the best of our tradition, but we are unafraid of other traditions. That all of a sudden something is merged and something new is created in the process. And that's what I believe that the faith community at its best does its best work when it refuses to hide in the fear of fundamentalism, but stands up tall in the broadness of God's possibility.